Oxnard City Council Public Works and Transportation Committee for February 23rd. Time is 8:32. This meeting is held pursuant to the State Emergency Services Act and the Governor's Emergency Declaration and the Governor's Executive Order N-2920 to allow members of the City Council or staff to participate via teleconference. Pursuant to the Ventura County Public Health Officer's Order and the Governor's Executive Order N-33-20, all city buildings are temporarily closed to the public. The public is encouraged to view the meeting from home on the city's website at oxnard.org/city-meetings or Spectrum Channel 10 or Frontier Channel 32 or YouTube at youtube.com/Oxnard News. Video recordings are typically available online immediately following the meeting. Please see the link for the Measure M pre-recorded presentation video for each agenda item below. The public may provide comments to the City Council via email at cityclerk.oxnard.org no later than 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Please identify the committee name, the meeting date, and the agenda item in the email subject line. A telephone option for public comments is also available at this time due to the State of California's stay-at-home order. Requests to speak may be submitted no later than 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Use the form on the city's website to submit your request to oxnard.org/city-meetings or call the city clerk's office at 805-385-7803 or email your request to cityclerk@oxnard.org. The city has filed pre-election and post-election lawsuit regarding the validity of Measure M. The judge has not yet ruled on the legal sufficiency of Measure M. So the presentations are not available at these meetings, but you can see them on site. That was the will of the majority of the people that voted on this matter. I personally think that was a big mistake. But can we take the roll call and question the posting of the agenda? We'll have Ms. Cooper leading the Pledge of Allegiance, flag salute, and we'll the previous committee that I had listened, we had a moment of silence for the 500 that have died from the COVID. But I unfortunately left the obituary at home. We lost an individual who was a longtime employee of Public Works, and we'll bring him up and give him the recognition at the City Council meeting. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Chair Perrello.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Posting of the agenda is A-okay?
Yes, agenda was
Okay.
posted.
Okay, and Ms. Cooper, can you lead us in the flag salute, please? And we'll take a moment of silence after. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
And justice for all.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind the public, we've lost more Americans to this COVID than we lost collectively in the Vietnam War, World War II, and World War I. The next big milestone is the Civil War, the 600,000. So we'll probably hit that. Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. First item on the agenda is public comments on items on the agenda. We have one speaker, Ms. Pat Brown, and have we been able to touch base with Ms. Brown?
Miss Pat Brown.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
Ms. Brown,
ma'am.
you can.
We can. You have
Okay.
2 minutes.
We have a severe problem that I think everybody knows, but nobody seems to want to do anything about it, or they're afraid they're going to step on somebody's toes and upset them if they do anything about it. But this affects my neighborhood as well as all the others, but mine specifically because my border is Oxnard Boulevard and to the east. The big, huge trucks and their trailers, they just keep coming in on Oxnard Boulevard down from the freeway and going out that way, and they keep having to turn on to get on to Oxnard Boulevard. They have to get on there from east of Oxnard Boulevard, where they're working and filling up and emptying their trucks and so on. Why they don't want to stay in their area and go east, I don't know. But for some reason, For some reason, they keep making right-hand turns to get onto Oxnard Boulevard, and in the process, a lot of times, they are damaging the posts and the signage and the lights and everything, and they take up too much room, and they can't keep up with the traffic, so they slow all the traffic down, and it's just a big mess. Somehow or other, we've got to keep them on the east side of the railroad tracks that goes between 3rd Street Bridge area and Woolley Road. Somehow or other, we have got to get them to stay east of there. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but I would be willing, as the neighborhood chair for the neighborhood that bounds that area closest to it, I would be willing to take some time and meet with some of the business owners over there that on the east side of town that they are dealing with. We've got to have them. We have to
30
have them
seconds.
because they come and pick up the fruit and the strawberries and all of that and all of the food that we produce here, and they take it away and it gets sold. And that keeps the businesses and the farmers happy here. So we have to keep this up. But we can't have them on Oxnard Boulevard. They are ruining it. The asphalt tears up quicker, everything because of those big, huge trucks. And there is no reason why they have to be on Oxnard Boulevard. Absolutely none. I follow them up and down from the freeway down to
Your time
Saviors
is up.
and all of that area, the 5 Point.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you very much. Your point's well taken.
Mr. Chair, very quickly, just for the record, the mayor has joined the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. Madam Clerk, I see no other public comments. Is it correct?
Not for items not on the agenda.
Right. We have
That's
Mr. Ray
correct.
Blattel for D2, I believe.
Yes, that is
Ray, we
correct.
will be calling.
Thank you. He's already on hold.
Okay,
but we're
great.
not there
Thank you.
yet.
And for the people that call in, you'll be much more effective if you make sure you shut your radio or television down, because it dilutes the message that you're sending. Moving on to the next item is consent agenda. We don't have anything for this meeting, but I'm expecting to have information under a consent agenda shortly. Moving to the next item is reports. And the first item is the Public Works Department. The subject is First Amendment to Purchase Order number 7634 for Badger Meters Incorporated for water meters and parts. The recommendation that the City Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council authorize the mayor to execute a First Amendment to Purchase Order number 7634 with Badger Meter in the amount of $200,000 for a new total not to exceed $450,000 for water meters and parts. Now, there was a presentation on this, but it is not, because of this Measure M, is not being presented now. Do any council members have questions on this matter?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mayor.
the question I have is and I'm sure it was there, I think, is water meters. What's the life of those water meters? I know that I think we had some water meters that are about 10 years old, 15 years old, but I can't remember if that was.
We have somebody from Public Works can answer that.
Yes, Chair. This is Omar Castro, Water Division Manager. The existing meters were installed in 2002. The new water meters have a warranty life of 20 years, and it's they're more sufficient meters, more efficient meters.
Okay, the old ones were, or the computer doesn't read them anymore. Is that what's happening, or as the truck goes by?
That's correct. The radios are no longer supported, and they are failing on the meters. And some of the meters are failing themselves, which cause them to under-register. So
consequently, the meters that are not read, are they? Do they take an average charge on that?
So Yes, if the meters are not, if the meter is not functioning, there'll be an estimated read. However, the reason why we have these purchase orders is to replace those meters that are not working so that we can continue to accurately bill and allow customers to measure their water usage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mhm.
Thank you. And I see no public comments on this item. I have a couple of questions on this matter. With respect to the meters that we're changing out, are we recycling or is there a scrap value to these meters?
Yes, Chair. All of the meters are scrapped and accounted for, and we do receive a manifest, and that check is received by the city.
Can, at a future, it's not, at a future item, can you give us an update of how that's, what we've been able to recover, scrap or whatever manner that, and however the determination and exactly where it goes back to the city? I'd appreciate that. With the second question, with respect to the meters and the efficiency that's going to be generated with these things, this will allow individuals to read the meters. Will they have to drive by the meters, or will this be something that we can just get off the cloud?
So the design of the new meter system that we're going to be switching to is an automated meter infrastructure, and that's going to be a cellular based. So we will no longer be required to have the staff labor to drive by or the vehicles.
It sounds much more efficient and moving into modern times. With respect to the amount of meters that you were purchasing, you did mention we're going to replace the ones that are failing. Is there a specific, at a future meeting, could you come back and show us a map of the city and say that we've started from the south going north or the east going west? Or is it one neighborhood we find worse than another, and we at least say we blocked out those areas?
The meter failure is fairly sporadic throughout the city. So, but I can come back and provide information regarding to maps of areas that are failing at a higher rate.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the report. Any final questions, council members? Any direction?
So move approval. Mhm.
Second.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Motion
again for the
passes.
presentation. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry. Thank you for the presentation, Mr.
Mr.
Castro.
Chair, this is the city manager. I just want to clarify for the follow-up report that we'll bring to a future committee meeting. So you want to get a sense of where across the city the failed meters are, just to see if there are any patterns. And you want a inventory about the recycled meters, correct?
Yes. If we have value sitting in recycled, I think it is better for us to recover the value, put it into the city's funds, and we can buy something else with it. The main reason I'm asking about neighborhoods, because we are districts and councils are in districts, I'm sure there are going to be people asking, well, as Mr. Castro effectively explained to us, there are people that complain their meters are not right. And if we can, once we replace the ones that are going away, if we have a process by where we knock out neighborhoods or sections that we know that everything is hunky-dory, and if it's a 20-year warranty, we know we're A-okay going forward. Knock on wood, hopefully.
Thank
I
you.
hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can I quick question?
Go ahead.
Are the meters recycled for the metal value, or can they be refurbished and somebody else can use them?
Mr. Castro?
Yes, so the meters are refurbished for the price of the brass, the metal itself, because of the history or age of the meter, and they're no longer supported. We wouldn't rebuild these meters. They're not as efficient as the new modern technology meters.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Okay.
And just as a side note, I appreciate the work that's been done in the water department to straighten out the meter repair shop. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item. Number 2, Public Works. Subject, award agreement to Alltech Industries Incorporated for armed security services at the water campus. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute agreement A-8293 with Alltech Industries Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $334,466 for a 2-year term ending March 15th, 2023 for armed security guards at the water campus. Again, the presentation is not available tonight at this meeting because the voters decided to approve Measure M. It was pre-recorded and it's available online. And we have a presentation on this matter.
No, sir, no presentation, but we do have a public speaker, and then we can, of course, take your questions.
Okay. Mr. Blattel, would you like to speak now, or would you like to wait if there's some questions or something from the council?
Mr. Blattel, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
You want to speak now, Mr. Blattel, or would you rather wait till after the council talks?
Up to you.
I'm giving you a choice, sir.
I'll speak now.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee chair, committee members, and staff. The city wants to spend about $14,000 per month for 2 years for armed security patrol at the Oxnard water campus. The claim is that the existing camera system is failing. It's been my experience that these things either they work or they don't work. Failing implies on again and off again operations, and will take 2 years to replace it. This is ridiculous. Why not rent a professional quality, commercially available security camera system, much less than $14,000 a month, until a new system can be installed? Or conversely, why not contact one of the many professional commercial security surveillance companies and procure an existing off-the-shelf system, which could be obviously be tailored to meet your needs? And if you purchase it outright, I'm almost positive they'd install it for free. In this manner, you will save some money. Why waste $330,000 plus for the manned security and then turn around and buy a system anyway? Just procure one now and get it over with. Relative to your claim that the armed security is needed because of the transient activity in that area, really? Do you plan to shoot these transients? And again, according to the city's own scope of services, relative to vendor responsibilities and reports of violation of laws, it is not immediately understood why an armed patrol is necessary. And I'm sure you're paying a premium for the armed part. All these supposed armed patrols are doing is monitoring and reporting. Why the need for a weapon? And if a problem is encountered, they're supposed to notify the police. Do you need a weapon for that? And just north of that location, there are residences. Do you need the potential for gunfire in this area? Furthermore, if the existing security camera system is monitor and alert only, couldn't an unarmed patrol do the same at a reduced cost? In my opinion, this proposed plan is another waste of money. This is something you should really think about. And I have a question though. Now for the agenda report says the money is coming from the Water Security and Contamination Prevention Fund, account 608-6015-842-8209. Where does the money come from to feed this account? Thank you very much for your time. Good night.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Blattel. On my personal opinion, Mr. Blattel brings up some good points, some very good points. But I would like to say this, speaking as one individual who was involved way before I got into the council as a neighborhood council chair with another individual named Mr. Edward M. Castillo, when there was $1 million contract for security for the water plant at 3rd Street, and it was a fiasco. This is much less. I can tell you when it comes to the security of the water and the potential liability if something goes wrong with the water, I don't think that $300,000 is a waste of money. There may be a better way to spend it, but I appreciate the comments. Do we have any comments from the council?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Councilmember Lopez first.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Perello, and kind of going off of Mr. Blattel's comments as well. What I was looking for is one clarification, because there was the mention about the security system, the camera security system. And so what I wanted to find out is if this would be a long-term component to have security guards as well as the camera system once that is repaired, or if at that point we would just go back to the camera system. But also, how we came to seeking outside service versus something that could be done internally through the police department based on the cost.
Who on staff would like to respond?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council Member Omar Castro, Water Division Manager. Well, this contract can be canceled. We did receive 2 bids, as the speaker asked about a procurement. We are going through that process to replace our camera system. And that camera system will have not just a view only, it will have alarms and alerts. We can also allow PD to link into that surveillance system. So I hope that answered the question regarding the contract and the need, but we do have a procurement and we have received bids for that process.
Mr. Chair, let me chime in and add to this to also answer the question. So this is our water utility. This is not an independent agency or some kind of a district outside of the city, but as a water resource agency that provides drinking water for our public, security is of the utmost importance. And my intention is not only do we get a surveillance system back up, because that's really good, especially for evidence and monitoring, but we're going to have the in-person security as well. These sorts of facilities are on the scale, even though here in Oxnard for us it's small, but they're in terms of the level of importance, it's on the scale of homeland security protected types of locations in terms of the danger that could be caused here if there were an intrusion. So this is well beyond just transient activity in the neighborhood. We have to ensure that the water that's being processed here and delivered to our community is always clean and safe. So there are just a wide range of bad things that can happen at these facilities if they are not properly secured. We live in a very different world now than we did several generations ago with regard to these types of facilities. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I agree with that. I believe that the security of our water plant is extremely important. That's our lifeline item. That's a health and safety item. In fact, I believe that by having an armed person there, security, the infiltrators, the people who are going to transpass, they know there's going to be an unarmed person out there. And in fact, I think that we ought to add the man security and the cameras to boot, because look what happened in Texas just the other day with the freeze, where there was infiltration there in the water plant in Texas, where the chemicals that were processed there used were 10 times, 100 times, or I think 1,000 times more than what they were supposed to be because of lack of security. This water is extremely important for our community, and I think we need to protect it to the max.
And if I may add one more specific response to Councilmember Lopez's question, it is much more cost effective to hire the security this way rather than utilizing a sworn police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any follow-up, Ms. Lopez?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to our city manager and Mr. Castro for the answers. And I certainly do not disagree. I think our water system, based on the fact that, we're reaching, over 200,000 residents in the city, it is absolutely important to ensure that our water is clean and safe. And so I'm not opposed to protecting this resource. So I do appreciate that information and the responses. Thank you.
I would just like to say I appreciate the public speaker's comment. I appreciate the the interest in the line that he is going on. But I just want to say to the members of the public, the committee, and the speaker, there's a lot more than just water involved here. There's mechanical, there's chemical, and there's personnel. And when we have issues that have happened in the city currently, recently we just made an arrest of somebody tried to burn down the armory for the homeless shelter. When we have things like that happening, you need to have some protection. And to put a person out there that is going to be identified as a security person and not have them armed, it seems a little ridiculous. It seems rather seriously ridiculous. But your comment about being near a residential area and gunfire, I take it to heart. But that opens up a bigger can of worms. Should the water department have a facility near residential areas? Unfortunately, it does. It's very similar to having an airport near residential areas. I believe that this is a worthwhile thing. I do believe you're absolutely right, Mr. Battelle. Cameras either work or they don't work. And there's been issues in the city. We're working to get these things improved. So I thank you very much for your comments. But if I could have the opportunity, I'd like to move the recommended action on this one. Is there any other comments by councilors? Okay, I'd make the motion to move the recommended action. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
And again, thank you for the public comment and the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Castro, for the presentation, the city manager also. Moving on to item 3, Public Works Department. The subject, an agreement for on-call channel maintenance and repair services for waterways assessment districts, SD 21-43. Recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council award and authorize the mayor to execute agreement A-8298 with Harbor Offshore Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $600,000 for a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2024 for on-call channel maintenance and repair services for Waterways Assessment Districts Zone 1, Mandalay Bay, Waterways Assessment District Zone 2, Harbor Island, Westport CFD number 2, and Seabridge CFD number 4. Again, there is going to be no presentation. The presentation was available before. The whim of the voters to pass Measure M prevents us from having a presentation, but there is a presentation available. You got to go on the internet to find it. I have no public speakers on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk. And do we have any questions on the presentation by council members, committee member?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
The funding here is going to be taken care of by the CFDs. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, that is correct. There is no impact to the general fund. Each CFD is responsible for the funding of their stormwater maintenance.
Okay, and I think that's important that we understand that. Thank you.
No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Cooper, just wanted some clarification. This is a new contract. Is this a new service maintenance that is needed? And additional question to that, if this has any relation to the Mandalay power plant and the impacts that it had on the water systems there, if that's part of the maintenance.
So this is not a new contract. The vendor that is being awarded the contract tonight has had it for the last 3 years as well. There is no change to the price that they have provided us from the last 3 years. And it is strictly debris removal within the waterways from just use. It really has no impact from the shutdown of the Mandalay plant. It really is just
Maintenance.
Just really maintenance of a guy getting in a boat and picking up trash for us. One thing that is new as a result of the power plant and water quality is the algal blooms. So part of what we have requested Harbor Offshore to do is to remove surface algae so that it does not die, fall to the bottom of the waterways, decompose, and potentially affect dissolved oxygen. So they had been doing that for us on-call maintenance within their previous contract. As you may have seen in the staff report, there is some additional funding for on-call services. So if we do have a larger algal bloom, we can deploy them to remove more of that algae from the waterways areas.
Thank you. That answered my question, just in terms of any additional work that came from that shutdown. So thank you.
The various districts that are going to pay for this, has there been discussion with these districts or feedback that you could report to the committee from these districts?
Yeah, so over the last 3 years, I've had continuing conversations with these districts with regards to the debris removal. One of the things that seems to be echoed by multiple districts was the necessity to have that additional on-call beefed up a bit, because they had seen instances of extra trash debris from the large windstorms that we've recently been having, so that we have the ability to authorize extra services and get that debris out of the water so we can continue to maintain a good water quality.
And in reading the staff report, there's screens and grates that capture some of these things if there's need to repair them, because quite a bit of the trash that ends up floating in the harbor is not generated from the people at the beach. I mean, it's not generated from the people that live in the harbor. It comes down when the storm drains flush the streets, and it gets down into the canals and gets into the harbor.
Yeah, so the 2 debris screens and 1 debris boom are part of that scheduled on-call maintenance. The contractor will go through and do maintenance checks on them and replace brackets or any items that show deterioration, so that they will not break off in a storm and allow more debris flow to come into the waterways.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions from committee members? Do we have a recommendation?
I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Chair Perrello,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
The next item, item 4, Public Works Department also. The subject, Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovative Act with an acronym WIFIA loan applications. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application in the amount not to exceed $27,600,000 from the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan program administered by the United States Environmental Protection Agency, designating the amount of project expenditures to be reimbursed by proceeds from the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovative Act loan, and dedicating and pledging revenues and funds for the repayment of the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Again, there was a presentation. It's available on the internet, but there's not a presentation here. Again, my opinion, this is not serving the public well with the actions that the majority took on this measure. Do we have any questions from staff? Do we have any questions from the committee for staff? And I see no public comments. And correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk.
No public comment. Thank you.
Any questions from staff? Questions from committee? I see no. Okay. Ms. Aronott, with respect to the amounts, because these are very big ticket items, $27,600,000. I remember a story a long time ago. A guy worked on a school board, and he had to sign a payment for a bill that was $1 million. And he said he had to take a stiff drink before he signed it, and he had to take a stiff drink after because he never thought he'd sign something for $1 million. And this is a lot more than $1 million. And it wasn't me on that board. But with respect to this, can you walk us through the breakdown of the maximum that we can recover from the government loans and what we would be obligated to if we acquire and qualify for these loans?
Sure thing. So we would be qualifying, let me take it back. Tatiana Arno, your city engineer. So we would be applying for up to the $27 million. That is a 49%, that's 49% of the total project cost. So the city would have to basically put up the other 51% for this project. The project would consist of basically the entire ASR program as it stands today, which is in addition to the demonstration project that we have under construction currently, right? So this will not be funding that. This is for the future phases should we get the permit from DDW for the indirect potable reuse. So in terms of what we would, that's basically the breakdown of the funding, right? So that's what we anticipate we would be getting as part of this loan. The final amounts would be determined at the time of bid. Once we get those bid results and we have an actual project, tangible project cost, that's the total amount that would be loaned. Well, 49% of that would be loaned through this program.
Okay. Is there, if we do have success in getting these funds, is there a deadline by the time, a specific timeline that they have to be used by?
So that's where we get into the application process. So what we're telling them is that this is going to be programmed in our CIP from fiscal years 2023 through 2027. And that timeline is strictly dictated by how long we think it's going to take us to get that permit by DDW. So those would be, the terms would be determined on the time that we're requesting through that loan application.
Thank you very much. And just for my information, when we do qualify for these and there are timelines, who is responsible for making sure that we don't, blow through a timeline and keep track that we're not approaching something where we could potentially lose part of the money? Is there a certain department?
You are speaking Public Works, so we would be fully responsible for making sure that that project is executed in a timely manner.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, I have no comments from the public. Is that still correct?
That is correct. No public comment.
Any other comments from committee members?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mayor.
The question I have is, so we'll get 49 or 47%, 49%, and we're then liable for the 51% in the future. That funding comes from the water sales of the program. How do we pay for the 51% in the future if we do get it?
Mayor, that's a great question. So we are actually in conversations about that internally at the staff level to determine how we would pay this back. Some of the options we're looking at was originally cash, but now we're also discussing the potential for bond financing as well for our 51% portion. And that's as we look at the entire capital improvement program for the recycled water and water program. So we have to weigh those things out with each other before we make that final determination.
So the 51%, if we get the 49, the 51, and then it's programmed over so many years potentially, or because I know the whole idea is to get reliable water sources for all of us for the future, but is there going to be a capital item that we can probably come out with payments, for the future as opposed to a one-time 51% of the total amount?
Yeah, so the reason we are looking at bond financing is because this is a long-term project similar to our Wainini pipeline and the ASR demonstration project we have right now that we're bond funded. So we have the same mindset of this is a long-term asset that has over 35 years of life expectancy. So that's why bond financing is looking really attractive right now.
Yeah, that's the question. It's probably over 35 years.
Right.
That's correct.
It's really going to help us out. And as you mentioned here in your report, that really the whole thing is to to secure reliable water supplies for the future, of the city of Oxnard, and to keep the sustainable supply portfolio for the city, which is extremely important. Thank you, Mr.
That's correct.
Thank you. And I'd just like to remind the public watching this, our finance department has multiple times explained to us that instead of paying for everything up front and having the current residents pay for everything up front, spread it over, because there's going to be a lot of future residents are going to benefit from this. And in the process, it's a much more equitable thing. You keep the cash that you can and you finance, and it's not that you're going crazy. It's the smart thing to do. And I firmly say, I'm very grateful that we have people like that working here. And thank you for your answers, Ms. Arno. Do we have a recommendation?
So
First, any more comments?
oh, excuse me. Oh,
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair. Yeah, as our mayor was asking the questions about the funding for the rest, I just wanted, to ask, has the city applied for this program in the past? And if it's the amount is approved per project, so are there opportunities to apply for funding in other projects under this same program?
So we have not applied under the WIFIA program previously, but we've applied for one that's very similar to it, which is the SRF loan program. So we were successful in that application. That's what's going to be funding the wastewater projects that will be coming in front of you in the summer for construction. I believe that amounted to over $60 million for that SRF loan. So this is actually smaller than that. And yes, in the future, we would still qualify for future WIFIA loans for different projects should they arise and should the EPA choose to move forward with us on those endeavors.
Great, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, then looking for a recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I'd just like to thank staff again for the excellent work that they do. We've had, earlier we had some training on the CAFR and how we apply for grants and how we take care of our grants and how important it is, as I mentioned to our engineer, that if we're going to finance this item over, potentially if we get the loan, the 51% over 35 years, and those kind of financing is important, and how we take care of and how they're mandated by the state and the feds, it's extremely important. I just want to commend staff for that, Mr. City Manager, and also the public works and the engineering staff. Thank you for the good work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Ms. Arno, thank you for answering the questions. I appreciate it. Do any committee members have any items? We're moving to item E, items for future agendas.
No.
No. Okay. With that, please, ladies and gentlemen, be safe with respect to the virus. Get your shots if you can, or you're qualified. Wear the mask, 6 foot social distancing, and we'll be around in a year to celebrate that. Yeah, we made it through that, but it's serious. Please be safe. With that, the meeting is adjourned. I may have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes.
Meeting is
Thank you.
adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much.